Welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's jump right in, because today we are looking at a story that completely redefines what it actually means to turn your life around. We're going to break down the totally fascinating mechanics of how a struggling, impoverished night security guard completely flipped his reality and managed to double his salary in just 90 days. And honestly, the most incredible part of this, he didn't win the lottery. He didn't get some random inheritance. He did it using one surprisingly simple, incredibly structured mathematical habit. If you've ever felt like you're working yourself to the bone but getting absolutely nowhere, well, the framework we're going to unpack today might just be the exact blueprint you've been looking for. To really understand this transformation, we have to look at where it all started. Meet Thomas. He's a 32-year-old night security guard at this massive warehouse. Picture him. It's 6 a.m. He is utterly exhausted from working a grueling shift that started at 8 p.m. the night before, and he's just walking home. His salary? Barely enough to keep a roof over his head. As he walks past the quiet houses in his neighborhood, he can literally see other people's lives playing out through their windows. He sees families having breakfast together, guys in crisp shirts heading off to comfortable office jobs, kids getting ready for school. While the rest of the world is waking up to actually live their dreams and build their futures, Thomas is just dragging himself to bed, totally haunted by this one recurring, incredibly heavy question: will this be my life forever? Section 1. A life going nowhere. Now, it's really important to understand just how stuck Thomas truly felt in this moment. He was living in this tiny, single-room apartment. The fan was busted, the one light bulb he had flickered every time the city's power dipped, and he was sleeping on a super thin mattress right there on the bare floor. His clothes were completely worn out, and his shoes literally had holes in them. But here is the crazy contradiction in all this. Thomas was absolutely not lazy, not even close. Every single night, he walked 4 miles just to get to his post, and he forced himself to stay sharp through the darkest hours. But here's the thing, hard work alone just wasn't enough. Because his schedule basically forced him to sleep from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., he felt like he was living his entire life in reverse. The rest of the world was moving forward, right? They're making deals, learning, growing. Meanwhile, he was literally sleeping through the daylight. He was completely trapped in this endless cycle of hard work that was leading him absolutely nowhere. Section 2. The turning point. Every great transformation needs a spark, right? And for Thomas, it arrived with a devastating plea from his mother. That catalyst happened on a freezing Tuesday morning in November. Just as Thomas was finally clocking out of his warehouse shift, his phone rang. It was his sister with terrifying news. Their mom had collapsed. Thomas immediately hops on a bus for this grueling 3-hour ride to her rural village clinic. When he gets there, the doctor tells him she didn't have some sudden disease. She had just experienced a total physical collapse. She was just too tired and way too stressed for way too long. Sitting by her hospital bed in those really quiet, dark hours just before dawn, she looks at him. Her voice is incredibly weak, and she delivers this completely devastating plea. She says, "Please, my son, do not waste your life like I wasted mine. Find a way." Thomas just looked at her hands. They had worked the fields for decades, exactly the same way he was working the nights. Both of them just grinding away. Both of them going absolutely nowhere. At exactly 5 a.m., stepping outside that clinic into the freezing morning air, something inside Thomas just snapped. It wasn't sadness anymore. It was just this furious determination. He was absolutely done living like this. So on the long bus ride back to town, Thomas notices this guy. He's well-dressed, looks super peaceful, and he's just quietly reading a book. It's 6 a.m. Thomas actually recognizes him. It's Mr. Chun, a really successful local businessman. Totally confused as to why a wealthy guy is riding a public bus at the crack of dawn, Thomas just asks him. Mr. Chun smiles and explains that he wakes up at 4:30 a.m. every single day. His schedule? Sleep from 9 p.m. to 4:30 a.m. When Mr. Chun hears about Thomas's schedule, sleeping from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., he points out the massive, fatal flaw in how Thomas is living. He says, "You're awake when the world sleeps, and you are asleep when the world works." Section 3. The magic of 5 a.m., or, as Mr. Chun liked to call it, foundation building time. Mr. Chun actually hands Thomas his business card and challenges him to fix his sleep schedule. And, much to Mr. Chun's surprise, Thomas actually follows through. They meet up at a local cafe, and this is where Mr. Chun introduces a concept that completely breaks Thomas's brain. He calls the window between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. the magic hours. When the entire rest of the world is unconscious, dreaming in their beds, this is the exact window where you build the life you actually want. And at that cafe, Mr. Chun broke down the math. Listen to this, because it is wild. 7:30. If you dedicate just 2 hours a morning to building your foundation, that is 14 hours a week. It's 60 hours a month, and over a single year, it equals 730 extra hours. Think about that. That is the equivalent of 91 full 8-hour workdays. By simply taking control of his mornings, Thomas could unlock 3 full extra months of highly productive time every single year, time that everyone else is literally just sleeping right through.
Section 4, the 2-hour formula. Now, you can't just wake up early and stare at the wall. You need a strict blueprint to actually use those 730 hours. This system they discussed is ruthlessly efficient. From 5 a.m. to 6 a.m., the focus is 100% on building skills. You spend this hour doing something, anything, that will directly change your financial situation down the line. For Thomas, that meant diving into free internet resources like YouTube tutorials. Then comes hour 2, from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. This one is all about building the body and the mind. Because let's face it, your body is your vehicle. If the engine blows, you're not going anywhere. This hour is strictly for 30 minutes of getting your heart rate up, reading, and planning out your day. So it's 1 hour for your wealth and 1 hour for your health.
But look, implementing a formula like this requires ironclad discipline, which brings us to Mr. Chun's unbending rules. First up, 0 negotiations. None. You do this every single day. And yes, that absolutely includes weekends. The second you say, I'll just sleep in this one time, you've already lost. Second rule, if you're going to wake up at 5 a.m., you have to be asleep. Not getting into bed, but asleep, strictly by 9 p.m. You simply cannot cheat sleep. And third, you have to mentally prepare yourself for the brutal reality that the first week is going to be sheer physical agony. Your body is going to hate you. Your brain will literally beg you to hit the snooze button. But if you can just push through the absolute hell of those first 21 days, it becomes your biological norm. And if you make it to 90 days, it literally becomes a part of who you are.
Section 5, 90 days to success. It was time for Thomas to actually put this brutal system to the test. So, Mr. Chun challenges Thomas to run this system for exactly 3 months. Despite being chronically exhausted from his night shifts, Thomas agrees. He manages to shift his work schedule around so he can be awake during the day, and most importantly, he commits to that 5 a.m. alarm. Day 1 is predictably pure pain. His entire body is screaming at him, but he drags himself to this tiny table in the dark and just starts watching free Excel tutorials on YouTube. Follows it up with a 30-minute walk outside. Fast forward to day 20, and a biological shift actually happens. He wakes up at 4:58 a.m., 2 minutes before the alarm even goes off. He isn't angry anymore. The tutorials are suddenly making sense, and he's actively knocking out online accounting certificates. And then we hit the climax, day 87. Thomas takes these brand new 5 a.m. skills he's been building and creates a massive custom Excel spreadsheet that completely reorganizes his entire company's messy warehouse inventory. Upper management notices immediately. Because of the skills he built while everyone else was snoring, he is offered a day shift job as a lead accountant. Boom. He doubles his salary just like that. A year later, Thomas's life was completely unrecognizable. He had saved up enough cash to move his mom into town and finally get her the proper medical care she needed. But honestly, the most profound part of this whole story is what happened to the habit itself. Even after he escaped poverty, even after landing this amazing new job, Thomas still woke up at 5 a.m. every single day. His coworkers thought he was crazy. They asked him, "Why are you still doing this? You already made it." And his answer perfectly sums up this entire explainer. Success is not a destination. It is a daily practice. Those 2 morning hours were his sacred time, and he wasn't about to give them up. Section 6, your 5 a.m. challenge. All right, now it is time to bring this right back to you. Thomas started with absolutely nothing. No degree, 0 industry connections, no money, and he was perpetually exhausted from working the night shift. If you are watching this explainer right now, you inherently possess way more advantages than he ever did. You have a high-speed internet connection, you have unlimited access to education, and opportunity is literally sitting right there at your fingertips. The difference between exactly where you are right now and where you desperately want to be is not about raw talent, and it definitely isn't about luck. It is entirely about how you utilize your time when the rest of the world is completely quiet. When there are no notifications buzzing, no useless meetings, no distractions, and when your willpower is fully recharged. The only barrier standing between you and a massive upgrade in your life is how you choose to spend those quiet morning hours. So, let's break down your literal step-by-step playbook to join the 5 a.m. club, starting tonight. Step 1, set your alarm for exactly 5 a.m. Not 5:15, not 5:30, 5 a.m. sharp. And you need to place that phone or clock all the way across the room so you physically have to launch yourself out of bed to turn the thing off. Step 2, choose your focus right now. Pick exactly one specific skill, one certification, or one business idea to build during that very first hour, and you attack it relentlessly for the next 90 days. Step 3, protect your 9 p.m. bedtime like your life depends on it. You have to ruthlessly eliminate the endless late night scrolling on social media and the random Netflix binges. Sleep is not your enemy here. Wasted, mindless evenings are. If you can actually commit to this, your life will not look the same 3 months from now. You're going to become stronger, drastically more capable, and significantly more disciplined. Your foundation is just waiting to be built, but it requires you to actually show up when it's hard, when it's freezing dark outside, and when literally everyone else is asleep. The exact blueprint is right in front of you. Your future self is waiting on the other side of that alarm clock. Tomorrow morning, at exactly 5 a.m., that alarm is going to ring. So what's it going to be? Will you rise to meet your potential, or are you just going to hit snooze?